Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Night Lives in the Launching Life with Autism Facebook group. This group is for parents who are new to autism, who are struggling with the chaos that autism has brought to their lives. If that sounds like you, then you are in the right place. If you want to get calm, understand, and connect with your child, then welcome. And I am your host, Erin Porter. I went through this chaos during 28 years in education, and now I'm on a mission to help parents get through it too. What I learned and implemented over those 28 years in the classroom and in special education has helped hundreds of parents and teachers calm the chaos that autism has brought to their lives. Now, before we get started, if you've popped on, please say hello so I know you're here. Facebook always tells me the numbers, and I see the numbers going up tonight, but they never tell me who you are. So just take a moment to say hi before we start. Hi, Beth. I see Rosa and Terry. Thanks for saying hi. I'm so glad you're here because tonight we're talking about obsessions and the meltdowns that come with it. Hi. So, just to be clear, I'm not talking about special interests. I'm talking to the thing that parents in the chat have referred to as obsession. So that's their word, your word, not mine. On Monday, I don't know if any of you saw this, but on Monday, a parent in our group posted about their child's obsession with numbers and that he likes to take a little puzzle piece to school that has a number on it. He carries it around. But if it gets lost, all hell breaks loose. These were her words in the post. They tried to fix things at school, which brought a new layer to the obsession at home because when he got home, things were different, which required mom to fix something else at home. If any of you saw that post, just give me a thumbs up or if you know what I'm talking about. That was the post that inspired this live. Can you relate to that cycle? Do you know that cycle that I'm talking about? Yes, you saw it. Thanks, Johnny. Thank you. What I mean is, if something breaks and you try to fix it, and then you end up going down a rabbit hole of problem solving and reacting to your child when things aren't done just right. Yes, I knew that some of you could relate. Does this happen in your house that your child is fixated on something and then you end up managing it? Do you have backups of things or the thing? Or backups of the thing? I knew a family who always bought multiple stuffies for their child, so they always had a backup handy. Do you know what I'm talking about? So this parent that posted asked for help, and I'm assuming you're here asking for help as well. And what I want to ask you is, what is your goal here? Is your goal to keep the peace, or is your goal for your child to solve their own problems? Because the reactions and actions of parents are going to be different depending on what you're trying to do. Does that make sense? For example, I'll tell you what I mean. When your child is obsessed with something, does it feel like it's your job to keep that thing accessible and intact and fully functioning so a meltdown of epic proportions doesn't happen? This would be trying to keep the peace. The parent is always on high alert, ready to jump in, sometimes even before the problem happens, to keep everything going smoothly for the child so all hell doesn't break loose. These are the parents who are on high alert managing. Does that sound familiar? Because when all hell breaks loose, it's awful. I get this. I supported some parents in my coaching program whose son slept on the couch in the living room. And this was because he was obsessed with the TV being on one particular show. And that show had to be on 24/7. In fact, it was on repeat in the living room on the living room TV for 2 years. No one else could watch TV or really use the couch at all, because if his show was turned off, he would lose it. He would have a meltdown of epic proportions. This is what I'm talking about. And there was a 12-year-old boy I supported who was obsessed with driving. Hello. And giving directions. And the family couldn't get into the car and be safe because if he couldn't control where they were going, he would kick, punch, or lash out at the driver. When you're the one doing the managing, you're always playing defense. I'm going back to my sports analogies again because I love sports and I used to coach sports. You're always waiting for the shoe to drop and solve the next problem before it comes up or as soon as it comes up. But what happens if the problem can't be solved? What if, in the case of these examples that I gave you, the power goes out and the TV can't work? Or what if there's an urgent need to drive somewhere in the opposite direction for the boy who's in the car? Or what about the mom who posted in our group? What if there's no more letters to replace the ones that are lost? Then what? Until I coached the parents of the boy who was obsessed with the TV and the one with driving, they had big problems in their households. The children's obsessions were ruling the family. And in the cases of these examples, no one else could watch TV or use the couch or really go driving anywhere. He was so obsessed with the driving that he would want to go all the time. They couldn't even drive to the park. It was too unsafe. Once I showed them what was really going on, everything changed. They were looking in the wrong direction for a solution. Because it's not about the thing. It's not about having multiple puzzle pieces or lots of stuffies or putting the show on 24/7 or complying with the directions in the car. If you want to actually solve the problem, it's not just about keeping the peace. You have to look in a different direction. Does that make sense? So what's going on? Well, you are trying to solve your child's problem. You're playing defense. You're reacting to them. And you're just trying to make things okay. Avoid a meltdown and keep them happy. I get it. There's no blame here. Nobody's doing anything wrong. It's all out of a deep love for your child, wanting them to be okay and keep the peace. No one wants their child to have a massive meltdown. I get this. But what I see is that this is a loop that parents of children of autism find themselves in. And they don't see the loop when they're in it. And others could be keeping you there too, out of love. Like, for example, I love the answers that our group members offered to the mom who posted about the puzzle piece. There were some really creative answers there. One was get a bracelet that has letters or numbers on it. One woman said, get a 3D printer so you can keep making backup numbers when you lose a number. But do you see how these solutions or answers are sending you in the wrong direction. They are loving and creative and supportive, and they're helping you play defense. Those answers are to solve the problem in the moment. Those are answers for parents who are trying to keep the peace and who want to just keep things okay. They're not actually helping with the real problem. So when you're looking at answers that people give you, you need to be careful to see if they are providing you with insight into what your goal is. Are you trying to keep the peace, or are you trying to solve the actual problem? So what's the real problem here? The problem is that the child cannot regulate themselves and solve this problem on their own. It's not actually about having enough puzzle pieces on hand, or keeping the TV going, or giving directions. When the adults provide the solutions, it doesn't actually help the child to cope and learn to problem solve. Let me explain more, because you can't just stop helping. That would be disastrous. I get it. That's not what I'm trying to tell you. It wasn't until the families I mentioned about the TV and the driving saw that unless their child could learn to manage their own behavior, these parents were going to be doing this forever. Forever solving the problems that occurred when things didn't work out. Do you see that happening in your life? Forever replacing the stuffy, forever fixing the broken puzzle piece, or forever going down a rabbit hole as you respond and react to them to try and keep the peace, hoping each time that you do that it does the trick. And parents also tell me that they hope that their modeling of what they're doing to help their child solve the problem will show their child that they can do it too. Right? Now, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it's not about the thing. Your child's behavior is communicating something to you. They're telling you that this isn't working, that you need to change the loop. Just being able to replace or fix the thing isn't the solution to the problem if you want your child to solve their own problems. You are in a loop of high alert, walking on eggshells, managing, anticipating, jumping in, and fixing, all in an effort to keep things calm. And you go around and around in this loop, constantly on high alert, jumping in, managing, helping cope, going around and around. Does that sound familiar? So if this is the life that you're prepared to live with your child, is if you just want to keep the peace, then you need to collect all those things to support your child, all those things that need to be replaced. You need more visuals, more social stories, more strategies, more therapies, more appointments. Get the bracelet with the numbers on it, or get the 3D printer. If you are the only person who can solve your child's problems, then you are going to have a lot of work to do to anticipate the problems that come up, manage the situations, and jump in before the problem starts so all hell doesn't break loose. And you'll have to be prepared in yourself, in your heart, for what are you going to do if the problem can't be solved. If your goal is to support your child with the problem solving, then life has to change. Because for something to shift in your child, something has to change in their life. You can't just keep doing what you're doing and hope that your child will learn to cope. Does that make sense? If you want your child to be able to cope when things don't go their way, then things have to change in a way that supports this goal. Because right now what I see from everyone is that the things that you're doing support the other goal. They're supporting keeping the peace. If you want them to problem solve, then things have to change in all areas of their life where problem solving is needed. Things have to change in their life where you are doing the work. And self-regulation is required by your child. Like in eating, sleeping, playing, self-care, toileting, and coping, which is what we're talking about now. If your child is struggling managing their behavior with obsessions and how to cope when things don't go their way, I guarantee you that they aren't independent in those other things like sleeping, eating, playing, self-care, and toileting, because those things require self-regulation. So you have a choice. If you're struggling with your child having meltdowns related to their obsessions or fixations, you can either manage those and be prepared to manage them for life, or you can shift your perspective and give them the gift of self-regulation so they can learn to manage problems on their own. Now, that conversation is beyond the scope of this live stream. If you want to talk about how that would look specifically in your child, then you need to reach out and ask. Put up your hand and ask for help. You can raise your hand in the comments. Just put a little hand. I'll reach out to you privately to talk you through your next steps. I see lots of people on this call who I've spoken to. I'm happy to talk to you and point you in the right direction of next steps if your goal is to change how things are going. That's your choice. You get to decide. But I am here for you if your next right step is to talk about how that could look. So have a great night, everyone. I hope to hear from you. See you next week. Bye.